Welcome back, everyone. You're watching Indiethon Spring 2023, and I'm here with ripWSB, who is here to bring you an excellent 100% Pumpkin Jack run. Rip, take it away.
Thank you very much. I don't know about excellent. We will see how that goes, but this is definitely a 100% run of Pumpkin Jack. There's not much to it, so we'll just hop into it and I'll kind of explain as we go. But we'll go from 3. So 3, 2, 1, go. But yeah, Pumpkin Jack. We are a pumpkin. We are Jack, and we are Pumpkin Jack. So the story is basically there's this land, and everybody's happy, and everything's going well. And the devil is like, yo, this is boring, so I'm gonna put a curse on everybody. So he puts, I think, a eternal curse of darkness or something. I can't remember what specifically it's called, but he curses the land. A bunch of monsters come up and start, causing chaos and all sorts of bad stuff. I guess he just expects the people to like turn over and give up, but they don't. They fight back, and they have a wizard, like a champion wizard of their own, that is tasked with getting rid of the curse and bringing happiness and peace and all that good stuff back to the land. So the devil's like, nah, I don't like that either. So he's looking for like the biggest baddie he can. He knows this dude named Jack who was a human but was not a great human, and he pretty much damned Jack to like eternal, just no body, just a wandering spirit basically. So he's like, yo, Jack, I'll put you back on Earth or wherever we are, and if you help me get rid of this wizard and make sure this curse persists, then you can have your real body back. And Jack's like, sure, sounds good, I don't care, let's mess stuff up. So we are the anti-hero, I guess, of this story, and we are trying to make sure the wizard does not cure the devil's curse that he put on the world. Not really tied to what that goal is we are going to, here you get to see the dancing, but we're going to collect 20 crow skulls per level, and there's 6 levels, and we're also going to find a gramophone every level and get to watch Jack get down. He has a little boogie on. So this is the perk of this category, is you get to watch 6 Jack dances. If you hate it, then sorry, there's 5 more coming up. But it's a nice little break from the action, and I think it's kind of funny. So, yeah, we are going to get our crow skulls, which we already picked up 4, I think, at this point. And those are these little red things that'll be glowing. They actually, you can hear like birds chirping when you get close to them, so that's a good indication if you're near one. We got one coming up here. So that's what they look like, and they're easy to miss, but easy to pick up as well. I'm going to try not to miss any of these throughout the run, but no guarantees. And we also picked up our first weapon of 6, and each level will give us access to a new weapon. We start out with the shovel, not a great weapon, but it's enough to get the job done in this level. So there's a crow skull up top. This one, a lot of these crow skulls are tied to fights, and usually we can just go past them, trigger the next checkpoint, and it will kind of spawn on the skull for us. This one's about as quick, just to do the fight and get it over with. But the next one I'll show you where we go past where the skull location is, and instead of fighting the enemies, we'll trigger the checkpoint, and then that will spawn in the skull. So just kind of cheat the system a bit. There we go. That one spawns in. Do a little backtracking. It's quicker than doing the fight itself, because multiple waves of skeletons will usually show up in these fights, or other enemies. So it's quicker just to kind of fake it out, not do the fight, and be more of a pacifist, and which is kind of surprising because Jack is not a great person. So, oh no! So you don't do that, but we get to try again. And that's the nice thing with this game, is there's a bunch of checkpoints, a bunch of spawn locations, so if you do die or need to restart a checkpoint, you are good to go. There will be, ooh, that was weird, quite a few kind of like death respawns. Oh, I should probably wait. This part can be a little bit tricky if the cycles get weird. So we'll just do this. Luckily you get infinite coyote jumping ability. So if you delay your jump as long as you want, no big deal. There's a skull up there. There's 2 more in this field before we do the first and only little Jack head minigame. You'll see what I'm talking about in a second. The rest of those throughout the game we are going to be skipping. And there's not much going on in the first level as far as skips or anything, so this one's pretty casual. 100% is basically 100%, but any percent as far as like what you're allowed to do. So we will be going out of bounds at a few spots. There's still, since we have to collect all the skulls and the gramophones, it still limits like how much out of bounds is really helpful. So there's a big difference between 100% out of bounds and unrestricted out of bounds, or unrestricted any percent. And so what you can do out of bounds is a lot more, it's a lot more just like get out of bounds and go straight, is that box on there? Go straight to the boss in unrestricted. So 100% is a nice mix of get to see the game, get to do a lot of cool stuff, but it's overall a pretty chill run. So we get access to this barn and we'll pick up a few skulls in here. We're going to be trying to jump up and through some netting. So if you can kind of see where we're going, we just kind of like pop right through there, pick up this guy, and then make our way down. The rest of this level is pretty straightforward, nothing too crazy. And then as we exit this level and start the new one, that's when we get our next weapon. And from every level going forward, we'll have a new weapon per level. Some of them can be used to do some cool stuff. Some of them are just kind of meh. But that's where if you do a new game plus compared to like a new game, you have access to all the weapons right away and can lead to some pretty cool skips that we'll see later on in the game. But gotta get one more down here. We do have a required fight coming up, which isn't too bad. Most of these, the little skull guys, if we can get the ledge. Jack and ledges, the ledges are like the worst enemy of the game. Let's see if we can, come on buddy. He always grabs them when you don't want to get a ledge grab and then doesn't grab them when you want to get one, so you know how that goes. But we got 4 little skeletons that'll pop up, and if you do a double jump attack plus, I guess I never mentioned that we have a crow friend that we talked to very early on. The crow, when you first talk to him, he's like, yo, there's a scarecrow at the end of this level. He's been messing with me and my crow friends. If I help you, will you help us? And we're like, sure, whatever. We don't really care about the crow, but he's actually a very helpful companion. You can use the crow to knock over stuff like these bridges, or he can attack the enemies, so it's super useful as far as messing with people and messing with the environment. And then there was also an owl that we kind of skipped past the text for. The owl was kind of sent from the devil to somewhat guide us, but more often than not, just like keep eyes on Jack and make sure we are helping out the devil's cause, basically. Because the devil doesn't trust us, and I can't really blame him. Because apparently Jack, was it like 2 or 3 times he's kind of deceived the devil, and yeah. Be curious to hear more about his backstory, but apparently he lived quite a life as a human. Now he's just a pumpkin. But we have our nice little kind of auto-scrollery run through the burning barn. A deceivingly huge barn that is now left in pieces. But we are coming to the end of the first level, the fields. We have a boss fight after each level, and we will be skipping the second level's boss. So 5 bosses in total. We got 1 more skull to pick up. And there should be like a little jingle that plays when you pick it up, so you know, yep, that we have all 20. We got our gramophone, and we are going to the scarecrow that was harassing the crow and all his little friends. So it's kind of funny that the scarecrow's like, yo, I heard the devil's, you know, put all his faith in you. Like, does he not like his real monsters anymore? And so there's a bit of some beef between the scarecrow and Jack. So we're going to settle things once and for all. And after each phase, he's going to summon 3 skeletons that we will take out with the shovel. And just like a classic boss fight, it's going to have 3 phases, so we get to do this 3 more times. The nice thing with these boss fights is these huge area attacks like this, if you don't move when it's happening, you don't get any damage. So you just kind of hang out, stay still, and you should be good. These other, like where he's throwing the carrots at you or whatever he's chucking, those can hurt you, so you do need to dodge those, but for the most part, the boss fights are relatively simple. And we get our spear. So for 20 for 20 on skulls, we got our gramophone, and we are heading to the mines. So the owl's like, I'm pretty sure I heard this thing where there's this mountain, and there's a, you know, like a tablet or something on top of the mountain that we might be able to use to get more power to take out this wizard. So taking the advice of the owl, we are heading to these mountains and looking to get on top. We're gonna take a little detour, grab this crow skull, and then hopefully get up to this little perch to get a save. When we get a save, we can reload the checkpoint, and it'll bring us, you know, to where you usually trigger that checkpoint. So this will kind of bring us back into play instead of having to run back and do a little bit of platforming. So we'll take a little detour here. Gonna be a lot of detours in this run to pick up crow skulls as we go. So get to see a little bit more of the level than we normally would. Here's a bit of a tricky jump. If you delay that one, you get your coyote time jump, and then just do the second one to just barely make it over there. Here, instead of fighting all those dudes, we are going to keep that checkpoint, and then magically this skull comes into play. We can grab that and just kind of ignore these guys. Got one more on top here, and this is going to be our first mini game, the little headless or head only, I guess, mini game. And by opening the weapon menu, it kind of slows down time, and we're able to interact with the slopes and the walls a little bit more, and kind of get a proxy, and then get the extra double jumps. So we'll be doing that up here as well to hopefully skip one of these kind of auto scroller sections. And by kind of interacting with the wall again, we're just gonna climb up and just gonna roll around instead of taking a minecart. There is one minecart we'll have to take in this level, because we don't have access to weapons that would otherwise help us skip the second one. Huge shout outs to Jaxler recently that found a way to skip the second minecart. We had known about this skip for a while. Oh wait, was it the first one? No, the first one, because we do skip the second one. So he found a way to skip the first one, this one, in a way that was inbounds. So we can actually skip all 3 minecarts in a inbounds run and save a crap ton of time. So huge shout outs to that. Recently, a couple runners, VT and Crane, worked on a way to skip the second one in an easier way than what had been used. So big shout outs to them as well. And with all the work, we now do level 2 minecartless, which is pretty nice. But we will get to see some minecart in this run. So don't worry if you like just hanging around and listening to some music. But we are going to get a checkpoint here, and that will load a couple skulls down below that we'll have to regroup for. No big deal. Because since we have that checkpoint triggered, we can take a death and kind of death respawn up top. So it's not a huge deal to have to come back down. And then we'll make our way across, and there's just one enemy now. When we first came in here, there was quite a few. So when we take out this guy, that skull will come into play, and then we can grab that one. So we got our 10. We do our death respawn, and we'll be back up top where we were. And we will go to our second gramophone. So if you want to dance, you got about 5 seconds before the tunes start. So get warmed up, limber up, don't pull a muscle, and here we go. Got some bones dropping. Because why not? Got some jams. Alright, thank you, Jack. So then unfortunately we gotta kind of roll back because we're stuck over here. Usually when you get the gramophone, you get a save point. So if you die, you go back to the gramophone. Just try to make it back and trigger another save point before you die, because you will warp back to the gramophone location. But luckily we are alive. Let's get back on to this post. Landing on things is probably the hardest part of this game and run in particular. Jack's in-air mobility is a little weird at first. You kind of get used to it, but it's still kind of I don't know what the best way to describe it is. Like the momentum is kind of floaty, so when you go in one direction, it's hard to turn around and stuff, but you kind of get used to it. So that's one of the weirder things to work around. But here is our our mine cart. So we do get to do this one. So you get a little tune, you gotta knock through these wooden panels with the bird. Super helpful crow. And then make sure you jump over these pits where the track doesn't connect. Not too big of a deal. It's very easy to kind of not pay attention and then either fall off or run into the wood. And then for some reason in this level alone, you can't go through these wood boards. In other levels, we have these auto-scroller type sections, and you can go through the environment pieces. We'll see that coming up, but for some reason in the mines, you cannot go through the wood without dying. So you have to take them out, and you have to jump over these gaps. But we get some tunes, so it's not the end of the world. Could be worse. And we're slowly making our way up the mountain. Unfortunately, we will be skipping the boss for this level, because luckily for us, the in-level trigger is beyond the boss fight trigger. So we just kind of circumvent that a little bit. Huge shoutouts to the devs though. In particular, it's basically one dude, Nicholas Maisonnier. He, as far as I could tell, he just wanted to make a game that was kind of like a game he used to play as a kid and really enjoyed. So that's why this one kind of has this old school feel to it, and basically learned how to program and code and stuff and started trying to make a game. We'll see the boss right here. I'll just do this little cutscene. So that's what he would look like if we did fight him. But yeah, the dev learned everything, just kind of like worked on this for years and finally came out with this awesome game. It's been one of my favorite games to run. It's got a lot of cool movement and not complex skips and tricks you can do, but it takes a while to get used to them and then get the results that you want. Sometimes you get the skips to work and it doesn't really quite put you where you need to go. So kind of learning the ins and outs of Pumpkin Jack speedrunning has been quite fun these past few months. But big shout outs to Nicholas and then also the other people that had helped him out along the way. But I think he made an awesome game and it's been a lot of fun to play. So I highly recommend checking it out if you have access to it at some point and are looking for a fun game. It's pretty short, I will give it that, but obviously if you're gonna speedrun it, that's not necessarily a bad thing, at least for me. So that was a second kind of Pumpkinhead minigame section that we just jumped past. We'll be using that the menu jump, proxy jump thing a lot. We are going to use this checkpoint trigger to go back and pick up our last skull, I think. Let's see. Okay, we're good. I should probably be keeping track better of how many skulls we have. That is my one worry, is missing a skull. But so far so good. 40 for 40. Use the slow-mo to kind of help me line up these jumps because I'm a baby. And it helps. And then here, instead of taking the third minecart, we're just going to miss that jump and go back and do it again. But we're going to make our way onto the track itself. Take 2. And by kind of running along the track, we can jump back inbounds to where the end of the level is. That was a little bit close, but so now we are running on the tracks that we would otherwise be using the minecart for. And then here we're just gonna kind of jump across, land, and then do a double jump to get to the end. And this is the tablet that the owl was kind of talking about before we started this level. And there's supposed to be an amulet here that's got like all this power attached to it. But this guy, the wizard, he kind of pops in and says, I beat you to it. I stole the amulet. I don't know how it works, but I'm going to figure it out, and then I'm going to get rid of the curse and probably get rid of you, Jack. So, challenge accepted. We have this magical sword that he says he watched your fight with the boss, but he's lying because we didn't. But he's going to help out anyway, so it's all good. And this is where we can start using lamps in a weird way. So, for some reason, the sword and any weapon pretty much going forward, when you double attack a lamp like that, it'll shoot you off. and we will be using that a lot. But that's one of the main techniques and like strats that will be utilized in the game, pretty much in any category. Here, since we still have to do a lot of stuff in level, we don't use some of the bigger, cooler looking menu boost and lamp boost, but we'll hopefully do enough that it's at least somewhat entertaining. But it's at least a little bit safer doing the kind of smaller ones. So I will give 100% that, and that it's a lot less risky, some of these lamp boosts and menu boost. Because later on we'll have weapons that it's kind of like the menu jumps, where if you hold the menu while you're doing the lamp boost, you get an even crazier lamp boost that is super powerful. And we'll see that later on, probably last couple levels if anything. But here we have that checkpoint trigger, so we're gonna make our way out here to the boat, get the skull, and instead of, you know, running all the way back, we're just going to die and then kind of respawn back where we were. And the death respawns work as far as the speedrun goes, because the in-game timer stops and starts back where you were. Can't really do checkpoint restarts unless you've just recently made a save, because for some reason the checkpoint restart will just restart back to your latest save. So there's a slight difference between a death respawn and a checkpoint restart. So that is why it's kind of split up if you look at the rules and stuff, and there's a little bit of a difference between the two. But for the most part, we'll be using a lot of death respawns. Occasionally, if we like get rid of a lamp that we need, we will either die to respawn the lamp or take a drink from the little cauldrons that have the green goo in them. And that will give you like an automatic save point. Like right there, if we take a drink, it saves the game for us. So that's one way you can make the game save if you're not near an otherwise like automatic save point, which are tied to those cauldrons anyway. Here we're gonna go for a kind of sketchy thing. That one's kind of a tough lamp boost to make, so we'll do the backup hopefully, where we have to time a double jump over a pretty sizable gap of water. This one may take a try or two, and this one not one of my favorites for that reason. But yeah, we are just collecting skulls. This is one of the longest levels in any run. It's one of the few in like the unrestricted category where you can't really just like skip to the end. Although it's getting, oh come on, it's getting a lot closer with some things that VT and Jaxler have found recently, where you can skip a crap ton of this level in comparison to what it used to be. I'm gonna try the boost one more time while we're here.
While you're attempting to cross this gap, can I just chime in for a bit?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's just been pointed out that we at Indiethon have raised $1,000 during this marathon so far. So big shout out to everyone who has donated, all the runners that have supported us thus far, you guys watching at home. Thank you ever so much. We do have a marathon target of 1,500, so keep those donations coming in to see if we can hit that milestone before the end of the marathon.
Heck yeah, GG's donators and everybody that's just been tuning in, checking out the marathon. Obviously all the runners, the tech, hosts, commentators. Never get tired of enjoying these marathons, so I'm glad it's for a good cause, and you get to watch a bunch of really good speedrunners do their thing. So shout outs to everybody, and let's keep it up. Yeah, not too many more runs to go, but I feel like it's been a good marathon. But yeah, what we just kind of missed was talking to some random dude, and he tells Jack that he's, you know, like a fan. Jack doesn't really have any time for anybody, even his crow friend, unfortunately. But he's like, yo, if you help me out, I'll let you ride my horse. And since we're stuck in a swamp, everything's covered with water, and Jack and water don't mix very well. So he's like, if you find me some mushrooms, I'll let you ride my horse. So that is where we are I've taken a detour over here, not only for skulls, but also a mushroom. So now that we have our skulls, we will be making our way across. We have these like magically huge mushrooms that will disappear after a set amount of time. Ooh, don't get hit by the spikes. We'll take that. And then instead of using that for this last section, we're just going to try and do a menu boost. There we go. Or a lamp boost to make it to the end. We'll pick up our mushroom and then head back to this guy, which I think is just like a merchant guy. We don't really know too much about him. I guess, yeah, so normally you skip all of that, you just do this. Don't really have to do this right now, since we did the mushroom quest, but just for giggles, you usually just kind of jump up and then you automatically start this horse section by jumping in from above and skipping like the invisible wall around the horse. So if you're doing pretty much any other category, that's how you want to do the horse. You don't have to do that whole mushroom thing. But at least this way we get the best of both worlds. So yes, this is the swamp, level 3's little auto-scroller type stuff. We have a couple horse rides, and then we also, I guess 3 horse rides actually. And then we also have a boat ride that we'll be doing. So this one definitely has the most downtime and kind of just letting the game do its thing. But we can show that in this one you're able to go through objects and kind of go off path a little bit. Doesn't save a whole lot of time, but it at least is something to do. And you do take damage, so you gotta kind of keep an eye on your health. I may have taken too much damage, so I'm gonna like make sure to knock all these other wood panels out of their place so we don't take any more damage. Because if you do die during these auto-scroller type sections, you do start from the beginning, so definitely don't want to do that if we can help it. And then once we get past this section, we'll be picking up a few more skulls before doing another horse section. But luckily every auto-scroller has its own like theme music to it, so you at least get some tunes to jam out to while you're mashing L1 and jumping over stuff or trying to avoid dying. So there is something to be said for it. Here, there's a skull tied to these guys, and we are going to get on top of here, do a lamp boost, and skip having to fight them. We get a checkpoint right there, so we're gonna make our way back to grab that skull instead of fighting those enemies, and then just go right back to where we were. Grab the one up top. We're gonna kind of shoot this bridge down with the crow as we make our way over there. Climb this tower, and then on that platform in the back is where we will run into the merchant again. And lo and behold, he's asking for another mushroom. So we will oblige because we need to pick up some skulls in the area. Otherwise, we would skip them. So we'll do a little lamp boost to skip that kind of slow plank walking section. We got to see it in the mines where it slows down Jack's movement. You're only able to move. You can't really jump or do anything. And you slowly walk across that. So instead of that, we're just going to do the lamp. Attack this. Okay, that little platform is really tough to to work with. It's kind of a weird setup, but that allows us to kind of skip doing some major mushroom growth to get around it. So we are gonna make our way, ooh, that was kind of close, over to the gramophone, get our jam session in. Overall, just huge shout outs to Extro, a Pumpkin Jack runner who pretty much was the only one running 100% before I kind of joined in, and he a huge, like, he routed everything and kind of was 100% for a long time. So big shout outs to Extro for doing so much work. It was nice to have a guide all ready to go and kind of follow when I first learned. So mainly I did it just to find the skulls for the PlayStation trophy, but it turned out to be a lot of fun. So thank you so much for your help making that guide and being the one to pave the way in 100%. So we're gonna make our way up there. We got one more skull in this little section before we grab the mushroom for the merchant guy. And then here, instead of doing a pumpkin head section, we're gonna just jump across and jump to the mushroom. A little chat with the merchant guy, and then go back in. We'll do the same thing. We'll just skip talking to him and using his horse. And if you were doing this in any other category that uses the horse, I guess, you just kind of jump up there and then jump on top of the horse again. So, a little bit of both worlds. And back to the horse. So yeah. Another like minute of just kind of riding the horse. So, in like a normal run, I guess these are kind of nice where you can catch your breath and chill out for a little bit. Not too intense. I do need to watch my health a little bit though. I guess that was kind of low. But yeah, that's the second of 3 horses down. We got a few more skulls to go. We got what? 5? I don't know why that was so hard to calculate, but yeah, we got 5 more skulls. Hopefully I didn't miss any on the way. If I did, that's gonna suck, but we'll deal with it when that happens. But yeah, it's just hanging out with the horse. And that's the problem with this level in general, as far as like unrestricted and trying to use huge menu boosts, is there's so much water everywhere that it's hard to survive and get to a place that's useful. So much prefer solid land and places to land than a bunch of watering levels. Anyway, we got that skull. These 2 skulls we're gonna kind of come back to in just a second. Uh-oh. Okay, we're good. Get that checkpoint, and then that way we can spawn these skulls without having to fight everybody. And since we have that, I think I missed a skull. Okay. Always with 100%. Oh, I know where it is too. Okay, it's at the beginning, so no big deal. But yeah, that's honestly probably the hardest part of 100% is trying to remember where they are, especially if you're doing other categories, because you're so used to just skipping everything that not a big surprise. Luckily, I think the one I missed is pretty early on in the game, so I think I'll just try and redo that and get it before we move on. And hopefully the game doesn't crash. Wait, did we get that one? Where are we at? Okay. Yeah, and then once you miss one, you're just like paranoid about all the other ones. But here is our little boat guy. Our Charon of the game, I guess. Our ferryman. And it's another kind of chill auto-scroller type thing. This one, at least, the boat, the ferry dude guy will, yeah, do this stuff and mess with you. So you gotta move around and do stuff. You gotta fight some enemies along the way, but you're capped at this really slow boat speed. So yeah, there is that. So we'll make our way through all of this. Not much to say, just try not to die. He'll flip the boat. This is probably the... Ooh! Okay, we're good. The trickiest part, even though it shouldn't be, but try not to get stuck on the side when you're trying to get over the boat. It can be a bit troublesome. The controls can kind of be a bit questionable at times. Even though it's probably user error, I will admit, but still, just on the boat ride. The boat ride does suck a lot more when you know you've missed a skull, because that's all I'm thinking about right now. But we're good. I think I know where it's at. I hope. Because that's the other problem. If I don't know which one it is, it could be an issue. So this might be like a 99% run. We'll see. So one more batch of these little ghost guys. And we have a solo skeleton up there on the platform waiting for us. We'll pay him a visit. Bye-bye. And a somewhat tricky jump. Ooh, please don't go too early. Okay, we're good. So that is a impatient jump. With a little bit of fear behind it. And then we wait for the fairy to catch up to us. And then we've got this weird magical forest to get through, and then it's pretty much one more horse race to the boss. We are not going to jump too early and hopefully not die before getting to this platform, because that would suck. Okay, should be safe. So yeah, this is this weird forest, and it's like a maze. You have a bunch of paths. Only one path will not result in your death. You can see these little crows with the red eyes. Don't go where the crows are. So don't go that way. So as long as you don't see any crows on your path, you know you're good. If you go too far into the woods, a tree will fall on you and kill you. So don't do that either. You can't really like make your own path in life, at least in this maze, so don't try. So luckily, like you can kind of cut through the woods a little bit, but cut through the woods at your own risk is basically what I'm trying to get at. But we are trying to find the merchant here. Yeah, we'll ignore him. And then here is where usually you pick up your last skull. Not the case right now. But we'll pick it up regardless, because we need it. So we get that. Usually you'll get the little doodle-doo jingle. So just pretend we have all 20. Did we get the... Okay, yeah, we got the gramophone. Now we make it out of the woods. And the merchant's there is waiting. And basically what he was saying earlier was... I think before this level... The owl was like, I feel this magical presence in the swamp. Let's go check it out since the mountains didn't work out. And so this witch is the merchant's wife and who he's been gathering these mushrooms for. And it turns out they've been making a stew and they need a human soul for it, I think is what they need. And so they can kind of sense that of Jack. And so they jack Jack's head. They played him. They played us. So now we got to get our head back. Luckily, the crow can control Jack's body somehow. I'm not going to ask how or why, but it can. So Jack is like literally just the pumpkin, but he's able to control the body somehow too. So I don't know what the body's made out of or how it works, but luckily it does. So we are technically the crow right now. So we're Crow Jack, I guess. I don't know. Pumpkin Crow. That doesn't make any sense. Never mind. But yeah, we have this little mini game with the horse and just trying to dodge these kind of magic balls that the witch is shooting at us. Same thing, just kind of avoid everything. Don't run into the walls. The walls instantly kill you. And the magic orb things hurt. Some of these, I swear, are like impossible to dodge, so as long as you don't get hit by all of them, you should be alright. And then you end up having to fight the witch and the merchant. And this is really the only fight that there's any sort of RNG attached to it. So this fight can be a bit annoying depending on what the witch decides to do. And this one follows all the other boss fights where it's the 3 phases. And in each phase, the witch is going to be shooting out these... They look kind of like little potions, little balls. The red ones are bad, the greenish ones are good, and we need to hit them back into these weird tree eyes. So, red, not great. Greenish, that's good. So the ones that are close together, you can usually hit in one shot. So we try to do that here. And then there's usually two, yeah, always two that are kind of separate. You can technically hit both at the same time, but it's... Oh, that sucks. I didn't know you could not hit either. But it's kind of hard to do, so usually you just do one and then do the other. And then we shoot up, or attack these little root things that pop up. Hit the small ones, avoid the big ones. And then phase 2 is pretty much do all this again, but now you have the merchant kind of flying at you, and you also have the rotating... Oh, they hit both. The rotating roots to kind of either dodge through or jump over. You can... Whatever you dodge, you are invincible, so you can dodge through enemies and attacks and stuff. Or you can just jump over them, whichever is easier. No big deal. So we get the last set of eyes. And then do this again. And then do all this one more time before we can attack the merchant in which head on. So in this one, they are rotating and also sending out the potions. Oh, that sucks. So now we gotta get the moving targets. And then one more here. And then we can attack them. Alright. We grab that, and then we get access to our next weapon, which is a shotgun for some reason. So we go shovel to spear, spear to sword, magical sword, and then magical sword to shotgun. And then I'm going to go back to level 3, the swamp, and hopefully not crash the game. PlayStation can be kind of weird if you like enter and exit levels too quickly for some reason. So if this crashes, just give me a second to reload the game. Please don't crash. Let's go, it didn't crash, okay. So, we are going to have like a bad case of deja vu and do this little bit real quick. We at least don't have to worry about the skulls that we've already gotten. Whatever you get stays with you, which is why it's helpful. Like if you die and do the death respawns, you still have all your skulls and whatever you've gathered along the way, so it's not too bad. Yep, there's a skull right there. So luckily it was one of the early ones. And that was the new game and any percent stuff kicking in, where usually you just run past this and keep going. There we go. Now we're at 20. Okay. Quick little detour. We're good, we're good. Although, now I'm scared the game might crash again, so we'll see. Alright, now we go back to where we were going initially. To Skeletown, level 4. Let's go, no crash, okay. Yeah, before every level you get this like little recap of what's been happening, and it gives you a lot of kind of what's going on story-wise. Basically, we're just following after the wizard and trying to catch up, and the wizard's trying to figure out how to make this amulet that they found on the top of the mountain work, and can't quite figure it out. They're really big on science, they're huge nerds, and they kind of just are watching Jack throughout this whole game, trying to learn about how to fight him, because they know eventually they're going to have to take Jack out, and so they're just kind of collecting data, so when the fight does inevitably happen, they are prepared. And we're like, whatever, we just want to kill you. So we're going to grab 3 skulls and then do this kind of sketchy jump. Jack is... We'll see if he... Yep, just going to ignore that ledge. That's cool. Didn't need it. So we'll try that again. This tree... This tree has some funky ledges to it. I'm gonna try a different, come up from a different side. We'll see what happens. Okay, there we go. And you're able to kind of jump in that corner, and there's a save point there, or you're close enough that it like triggers the checkpoint. So when we respawn, we will respawn up on the bridge and skip having to do, I think normally you're supposed to gather like 4 planks of wood or something and make a bridge, maybe. It's been a while. There we have a skull that we kind of initiate. Since we kind of respawn past that point, we have to kind of trigger it a little bit, and then go far enough that the skull actually spawns in. So it's a little bit of like double trigger for that skull. It's kind of weird. Then this one luckily is already here. Skip past these rotating spear things. The wizard does note in the beginning of this level that he's watched the crow attack enemies and stuff, and so that's why these newer enemies have these shields that protect them from the crow attacks. And he notes, hey Jack, you're gonna have to get up close and take out these guys in a different way, and I'll be watching and taking notes on how you do it so I can prepare myself. So we're like, yeah, whatever dude, you do you, we'll take stuff out. Which actually, we're not going to take like really anything out, which is, I was very happy to find out that pretty much all these runs you don't actually have to fight anything if you don't want to, because while I did love this game, I did struggle with the combat. I will admit I wasn't great at it, so knowing I don't really have to fight anything was a plus for sure. So here, kind of just skipped a big trick we do where we jump down, and we jump down at a specific spot, so we're like right above water. Normally water, when you jump in water, at a certain point, Jack will just die. And because cutscenes like put Jack into a invulnerable state, basically, if you're like right above water when that cutscene ends, you still have a little bit of invincibility with you, and you can skip past the kind of water kill barrier and what the community has come to call Zombie Jack is taking place now. So we can survive water, and we'll be using that to our huge advantage to collect the rest of these skulls and kind of skip a bunch of this stuff. And this Zombie Jack state will last until either you like manually restart or you die. So as long as we don't die, we should be good to go. But it allows us to walk through water without any worry. We did get a huge menu boost, and starting with the shotgun here, if you hold menu while you're doing a lamp boost, or destruction of a lamp basically, at a certain spot, you can sometimes get these massive like speed boosts. It's just like a regular lamp boost but on crack. So we'll be using these a few spots in this run. That's my only complaint with the 100% is the really cool menu boosts you don't do a whole lot of. But if you want to see those, definitely check out the New Game Plus. It's chock full of crazy lamp menu boosts. And also the new game, once you get to Skeleton and beyond, you have access to the shotgun. The next level is a scythe, and then the last level is an orb. And all three of those can do these really cool lamp mini boosts. So here we're going to swap back to the sword, just do a plain Jane little menu boost, or lamp boost. Why do I keep... Just, yeah, whenever I'm saying one, it's usually the other one. Sometimes you can conserve your speed if you menu right as like Jack's hitting the ground. I'm not great at it, so we went about halfway where we need to go. But we'll be trying to do the conservation of speed and some more lamp boosts coming up. Finally got that right. So we make our way over here, ignore the water, which is good. Kind of ignore these rats, which those rats are nuts, dude. Those things are crazy. It's probably like the most dangerous enemy in these games, or this game. I guess it's one game, but do a little lamp boost there. Kind of baby conservation right there. Which doesn't really matter because the next spot's right here, so we don't want to go too far. Oh. Come on, Jack. There we go. You do still take damage from fire, so getting close to that's a little dangerous, but it's not like it instantly kills you or anything, so you do have a little bit of leeway with the fire. Try and get a lamp boost here, because we need to circle back to where we were. There we go. So that one conserves a little bit of speed. And you can do this quite a few times before Jack like finally gets back to normal speed. So obviously the kind of like more instantaneous jumps as you hit the ground conserve the most speed. and you want to try and cover as much ground as you need. In this case, we didn't have to go too far, so it works out. We get this last skull up here. Did I miss a skull again? Okay, no, we're good. Whew, God. Paranoid. I'm going to take these guys out because I'm going to try and do a menu boost on this lamp using the shotgun. This one's kind of iffy. It's a little bit more precise where you need to be. So if it works, cool. If it doesn't, that's fine too. But by doing a roll attack and then going straight into the menu, which slows down everything, nice, we got it. It'll shoot you off. It looks slow because we're in slow-mo, but once you go out of slow-mo, whoops, you go a lot quicker. So, kind of missed my jump there, but you get the idea. We will roll the rest of the way like scrubs and collect the last 2 skulls. Here is a spot where usually you push that cart full of like dynamite towards those other 2 carts. But by doing these kind of menu proxy jumps, whatever you want to call them, we can just make our way up on top, land on this branch, and then whoop, not get stuck by the other tree, and then just jump over and keep on keeping on. And then by collecting that save point there, it'll trigger a skull that we just passed. So we can circle back for that. We have this skull, and that will bring us to 20, thank God. So we have them all this time. And then there is a kind of auto-scroller section that you usually have to do in like a new game restricted category where you can't go out of bounds. It's one of the few like auto-scroller type little mini games that you can lose if you're not too careful or just aren't paying attention, like I've done quite a few times. So it's nice that you can skip all of that and just run out of bounds and then run straight to the boss fight, basically. So I do not miss. You're like in this little. What are those? Do you know what they're called? They have like on train tracks, and it's got the thing that you like a seesaw in the middle that you make go up and down, and it powers the little cart. But a hand cart, nice. You basically race like 3 humans, and you have to take them all out before they beat you and get to the finish line. So you have like a certain amount of time before you're pretty much screwed. So it's just like a frantic. It feels way more frantic than it probably is, but it's a scary part of the run, even though it really shouldn't be. But instead of doing that, we just go out of bounds and we just roll our way to freedom. And freedom is fighting this big dude. So this big baddie Door, DHOR, can like sense a human spirit. Even though we kind of look like a monster, he can still tell that we are a human at quote-unquote heart, I guess. So the city is full of humans trying to get in and attack Door. We've made it to Door and he thinks we are a human, so he's attacking us. The humans think we're monsters, or we are a monster, so they are attacking us. So we're fighting everybody all at the same time, and we'll be using Door against this human used tower. So luckily it's loaded with this explosive material, and that is how we will do some damage. So a couple more phases of that, and that will be the Door fight. Just kind of roll past all these like meteorites coming down at us. And then this part of the fight, if you just kind of hug this low edge of this little tiny thing that pops up, these hammers that he's shooting out at you don't get to you. So you just kind of chill out for a second. Not too bad. And then again, if you don't move when he's doing these area attacks, you don't take any damage. So just kind of chill, wait for the next phase, and then it's very specific, the pattern that we do. So we'll take 2 hits after he does this little fire thing. And on the second hit, a little too close, we start to run away, and then he will have 2 more like smash attacks before he does a spin attack. And then that way we get the cycle of that particular like smash attack, spin attack every time. But I'll go back to our safety spot and just kind of wait it out. Did we get all this stuff? Yeah, we got all this stuff. Okay. I'm gonna be checking so much now. Just one time. At least it was, yeah. If you're gonna miss one early in a level. Alright, so one last time. We get the 2 hits here, and then the tower with the humans will pop up. And you guessed it, we're gonna lure him back over there. And he's pretty much gonna take himself out. Conveniently. Take some extra stuff. Whoops. Get an extra hit there. Alright, we're good. So that is Skeleton. So yeah, that was like a human city where they were trying to like retake control from the monsters. And since Jack is kind of both a monster and a human, we just have no friends. So that was why everybody was attacking us and why we will gladly attack anybody because he is that kind of guy.
The tides are finally.
But we've kind of picked back up on the wizard scent, so to speak, and we are making our way into this cemetery level. And Dor gave us a nice scythe that we will... I guess we kind of use it. We don't use it quite as much in 100%, but it is pretty useful for menu boost and lamp boost. So here, there are quite a few skulls in this opening area. Usually you just jump on that, there's a tree close to the gate and just kind of jump over the gate. So I didn't forget this time and I'm collecting skulls. I think there might be 6 in this area. So we do the 2 on the left side first, and then we do the more traditional any percent route where we get up on these very usefully planted trees, climb up to the top, and it will give us just enough height that if we do a... Ooh, did I jump too far? Yep. Kind of like a delayed double jump, we can make it on top of the invisible wall that is above the gate right there. Usually the little gatekeeper's like asking you to help him out, and you need to find, I think, 3 grimoires in this area. Instead, we're just going to land on top of it, and for some reason the spear just like gets rid of the invisible wall there. So we get to the next save point and then restart. So once we get put back in, the gates open, and then the skulls on the other side of that area we were just in will be accessible. So we backtrack a little bit, collect this one in here, which I think this one's always available. Whoop, where am I? There we go. And then make our way. Usually there's enemies in here. I don't think they really spawn once you go to the next save point. So by going around that tree, we spawn in the one that was to the right there. Grab this one up here, and then here we're going to catch this area on fire and then do a death respawn. If you're in between these 2 fires, they seem to both do damage and can kill you a little bit quicker. It's about the same if you have to run back to the start as it is to do the death ward, but it's kind of nice to take a break and let the fires kill you. So anyway, we go past here. We got a couple skulls to pick up in this area. Otherwise, we would be doing a really cool menu boost that you will see in pretty much any other run that isn't restricted. Here we're going to switch to the sword to just shoot across the gap to get to this skull. And then going to be doing another lamp boost from this lamp to this side. Oops. And then do a little bit of platforming to make our way over to this skull. This skull is pretty much why we don't do the big menu boost in this particular part of the level, because we would have to backtrack for it anyway, and it's probably just as quick and just as safe to pick it up that way. But we got our skulls so far, making good time, and we have our cemetery auto-scroller type minigame thing. This one's like a weird Flappy Bird type thing, where we get picked up by a gargoyle. Apparently the crow hates gargoyles. And again, we don't have to open these gates, we can just go through the environment. So unlike the minecart in level 2, you can just whack Jack against stuff. And the music cuts out for some reason, like every time. So I'm not sure why that happens, but it allows the smacking of Jack through fences to be more audible, so could be worse. But usually depending on how the run goes, if the run's going well, I'll open the gates for Jack, and if I keep screwing up, then I kind of punish myself and Jack by ramming him through the gates. So this is for... Oh, I'm gonna die if I'm not careful. So yeah, smash through stuff at your own risk. Make sure you are being aware of how much damage you're taking so you don't die. But other than that, it's pretty much just a set amount of time you gotta wait. There's not much route variation on this one. Like with the horses in the swamp, you can at least cut corners a little bit, but this one's, there's not much to do. But we pop back out. Luckily we have full health, so you can kind of mess around and hit Jack without worrying too much. Grab that skull up there, and then we meet our old friend, the little gravekeeper guy. And again, he's going to be asking us to help him out. We're not going to do it. It's pretty mean. Instead, we are going to grab a skull and then use some more perfectly placed trees to do the old skippage. So we grab this guy down here, try and get around that acid spitting bat thing, make our way back up, and then we have a bit of platforming to do. We jump on this grave to jump up to this tree, then jump from limb to limb without falling off or falling out of bounds. Jump on that limb, jump over to this statue, jump over to this tree, jump up onto the top limb, which is gonna work barely. Woo, that was close. It's probably the trickiest part of this whole trick, other than I guess this was kind of tricky too. Here we have to like kind of jump around an invisible wall that's following the gate pretty much, and by just getting around it, let's see, all right, we're good. We can land on a invisible platform up top, get around, drop down, and then we're able to access a save point from out of bounds. You can kind of land inbounds, but it's a little bit harder, so screw it. We're allowed to go out of bounds, we'll do it. So here we just respawn in and we carry on. I think normally for the gravekeeper, he asks you to like destroy a bunch of tombstones, and then you have to do a Jack head section mini game. Here, oh, thank you for grabbing that ledge. So instead of doing all that, we just do some tree parkour and kind of just go around it. So we grab a couple skulls along the way. Do some platforming up this tower. Do the old zip line down. And then we will be collecting a couple skulls in this area, trying to avoid all these enemies. Do a little tiny lamp boost here. It's not doing a whole lot. More of just something to do while we're here. Other runners are definitely a lot better at lamp boosts and doing cool stuff. So big shout outs to Crane and VT again, Jaxler, Tolite. I was watching him do a lot of cool stuff in this level too. So there's a lot of ways to get around in this game, which is kind of nice. So every runner kind of has their own little flair, so to speak, and different ways of doing the same tricks. But since we got that save trick right there, we will go back, collect that last skull kind of on an island by itself, die to respawn later on, and grab this one skull over here before we get to like the main area of this last section of the cemetery. And then that little like fenced in mausoleum looking thing is going to be the final boss actually. And this interesting looking dude is the architect, which is like Hell's architect. For some reason he's up here. I think the devil sent him to help us out. And he lets us know that the wizard came by a little bit earlier ago. And he's been figuring out how to get some of the magic out of the amulet because he's been making portals. And so the architect's like, yeah, I saw the wizard. He came by earlier. He left in a portal. I can help. I can make you a portal, but I need some juice. So they are, for some reason, there's seven deadly sin statues around the cemetery. And if we break all of those and release the sins, the architect will be powered up and we can use him to make a portal for us. We're not gonna collect all the statues or break all the statues. We're just gonna break one, but it is the big bad one. So it'll be the one, Jesus. It is the one that controls the final boss. And by doing a launch off of that lamp, we can just land in the boss fight. So this is Gluttony. And once again, got the few phases, so we just kind of chill out for the big area attack, no big deal. Just gonna spawn these little mucus dudes or whatever, I don't know what they are. We're just gonna take those out with a shotgun, avoid the attack, and then jump inside Gluttony. So we still can't really do any damage to him, but by having the little skull run into these pillars, it does some damage. And then hopefully, if we time a jump coming out of this section, we can skip one of these outside phases and just jump directly back into Gluttony. So we cut down one of the outside phases, and I think it saves like 20 to 30 seconds. Luckily, it's pretty consistent, and once you kind of know where to jump and when, it's not too big of a deal. So we skip one of these sections, so once we go back into Gluttony for the last time, whoops, well-timed jump, it'll be the very last one. But this is the big baddie of the old cemetery. So we got our little flubber buddies to take out. Hop back in Gluttony one more time. Whoop, too early. Okay, we're good. Then do the old pillar attacks. 1, 2, 3. And that is the Gluttony fight. So this level is kind of weird because we do the boss and then finish the skulls and the gramophone. But we do that because doing the fight gives us a save trigger that puts us back out in like that main court area. So you do have to get rid of a skull there to open that gate. It doesn't take away from how many skulls you've collected, but it does look like we are missing one when we actually have 19. Lucky you still get the music so you know that you collected them all. So even though it says 19, we do have 20. And now the gramophone is way over there in the distance. Ooh, that was close. So I definitely don't want to die and fall off here, but I will be taking an intentional death after we do the gramophone experience. So if you haven't watched Jack dance in the past hour, here you go. We have this one and we have one more in the next level, and then no more dancing Jack, unfortunately. But because we fought the boss, this is the one time where the gramophone save doesn't matter, and we can die and respawn where we fought Gluttony, which is nice. It saves us from having to walk way back up that long, weirdly long tree that fell down and acted as a bridge, and we can just run straight back to the architect. We have all the skulls and stuff. He thinks we broke all the statues, and I'm not going to argue with him, so we'll be like, yeah, we got you. So he opens the portal for us. We try not to die jumping over there, and we are on to the last level. We are heading to the north, like the North Pole, for some reason. But we have followed the wizard here. He's still kind of way ahead of us, so we're still trying to catch up. But for some reason, he warped to the North Pole, so we are going to follow him there. Fight some weird pumpkin snowmen. Those guys are pretty vicious, so I'm glad we just can ignore them. Hop across there to get that save trigger, and then go back to pick up a few skulls. One more little plank section. Try and jump into this a little bit. But yeah, your movement is capped at this. You can't really jump. And then grab that. And then since we have the save point, you know how it goes. We're going to take a death and respawn back up where we were. And that'll take us over. We have to drop down for one skull, and then we'll be trying for a kind of difficult lamp boost. This one's... So all the lamp boosts, I don't know if anybody's noticed, but they've all been facing one particular direction. and this one is facing the other direction. So this one's a little bit more weird as far as getting a boost to work. It's a little bit more precise on where Jack is and how you destroy the lamp. Okay, this was supposed to be the easy part. There we go. So that one can be a little weird. Usually the regular lamp boosts aren't too bad. But we did skip a save trigger there, so I'm going to try not to die for the next, like, 20 seconds. It's probably best to not die in speedruns in general, but this one in particular. So we grab that skull way out on the little ice cubes, the icebergs, ice floats, ice whatevers, platforms. And then we're going to climb this tower, there's one up top. Carefully make our way over. Sometimes if you land on enemies, it'll like shoot you in a weird direction. So luckily we didn't get any weird stuff there. And we got a save trigger, so just in case, we are good to go. We don't have to do all that all over again. Here, these enemies are tied to a skull, so we're going to have to take them out, which isn't a big deal. And then while that guy is kind of dying off and the other skull is popping in for beating everybody, we drop down and grab this one. And then here's a pretty big menu jump that can be a little bit cantankerous, so we'll see what happens. This one's got a bit of a precise setup. Hopefully it works first try, but if not, that's how it goes. Nice! So yeah, we got the menu boost, get a bunch of speed, and that can make it pretty far. We need to make it to a specific spot, so we don't have to go super far. But it worked, so that's all that matters. Oh yeah, I didn't mention that we did get our last weapon, which is this orb boost type of thing. And this is where you can do a pretty cool like technical stuff that I will not be doing because I don't really, I'm not good at it. But it's something that people will know as orb boosting. And basically you do a double jump attack and then, well, it's a little bit more complex than how it sounds, but do a double jump attack, swap your weapon, and then like time your jump as he does this like dive thing. I guess I could try one, but yeah, huge shout outs to the runners that can do those. If you want to see what runs full of those look like, check out VT or Jaxler or individual levels. The people have done those. It's all about timing, so if you are good, then it's the trick for you. I am not, so I don't do them. But you basically do the dash attack and then swap weapons and then time your jump so that you conserve your momentum. But I'm gonna take my lamps and roll. So here, because we got that save point way later on, we need to try and get all these skulls without dying. Because if we die, we go way back to where we were, which will be helpful once we get all the skulls, but not before we get all the skulls, if you catch my drift. So we are carefully making our way. We have 3 more to go in this area. Wait, yeah. I guess we'll do the lamp boost while we're here, why not? Get one here. Try another baby lamp boost here because we're here, might as well go for it. This one doesn't have to be too much because the skull's kind of to the left there. And we do a slightly scary jump over the water. And we have our last skull that we need before we can do the death warp thing. We got 16. I think we're good. I haven't really been paying attention to the skulls. Hopefully we've been getting all of them, but since we have that save trigger later on, it takes us right back to where we were, where we started our whole journey and got the last gramophone. And then here, we're going to be doing a menu boost, but we are going to try and time it so that we... Uh-oh. Okay, we're good. We land kind of early, and then we can get this skull down there. And we kind of took a shortcut. There's a bunch of stuff we're skipping in the north. The north is great because you have access to all these awesome weapons that can do the menu boost and lamp boost really easily. And even in like the new game or new game plus, it doesn't matter. You have the access, the weapon access at this point. And because the islands are set up with lamps, in really lovely speedrunning positions. You're able to basically like fly from island to island, and at this point you can skip this whole section and basically fly into the very last portal, which will do this little like transition between sections of the level. So the run has gotten a bit crazy in the north as of a few months ago. Really cool to watch. It's cool to play when it works and not cool when it doesn't. But yeah. Luckily in 100% it's not quite as brutal because you do have to go to these areas and collect these skulls, so the really hard lamp and menu boosts are unfortunately not shown in 100% or really useful. So we got 2 more here in this little section. We're gonna avoid those guys on the left, doesn't really matter. Get this guy and then jump across. Luckily the water's not too deep, so Jack doesn't die. And hop across here, and that will take us to our very last minigame section that we are going to skip. It is weird because you do take on Santa Claus, and I think you kill Santa Claus, but we're not going to do that. We're not even going to see Santa. We're just going to jump past it. We do have all our skulls. I think we did the gramophone. Yep. So I think we have all the skulls. It's really easy to tell once you finish the game, but I'm pretty sure we have them all. I hope. And then once you get to the end of the game, after you have beaten the final boss, you can obviously go back in the level, like level select, and it'll show you if you have all the skulls and if you have all the, well, the gramophone per level. I guess there's only one. But this is the last little auto-scroller section that'll take you to the final boss, which is the wizard. So it's, you finally get a show, have your wizard showdown, show off, whatever. And once you beat the wizard, I was gonna say save the world, but I guess you screw the world. You save the devil's world. You just avoid all the debris in this weird portal that takes you to the final boss fight. Either by just doing big circles or doing like figure eights. It's actually harder to avoid objects if you're not just constantly moving around for some reason. But here we go, we got the wizard. Yeah, and like the casual playthrough, once you get to this level, it's like, wait, is that Santa Claus? Like, what is Santa doing in this game? But yeah, this is the North Pole, so you deal with Santa. For some reason, these little orbs that the wizard shoots out at you don't damage you, even though it looks like it does. These tornadoes will if you're on the ground where they're like touching the ground. You can jump through them up top, but if you... well, I guess I won't show that off. I guess I need to time my jumps through tornadoes better. This wall, the same thing. If you move while it's moving, it'll hurt you, but if you don't, you're good to go. So we just kind of chill out, and then once these 4 little things show up, like conductor looking things, take them out, and then you attack the wizard. He's finally vulnerable. Once you attack him enough, he'll go back up and do all that all over again. For the second and third phase, you do have to avoid these lightning strikes, but luckily it's not too bad. And then you can get to a spot where you can avoid the tornadoes. I'm not sure why the little orb thing doesn't hurt you though. Like, I'm not gonna argue because it makes this fight a lot easier than it was when I played casually. But I don't know. I appreciate the devs for leaving this in though, because it makes these boss fights nice. When like the actual platforming and the tricks during the run are the hard part, and then the bosses are like where you can relax and just chill out for a little bit. Oops. Nope, we'll just keep attacking. So he's got one more phase, and then as soon as Jack does the final attacks and like the cutscene starts is when time will be. So we have one more phase where like the little conductor tower things come out of the ground, and we have to just destroy those, and then you attack the wizard. It takes, 5 or 6 hits to take the wizard out. But then we will check and make sure we have all the skulls and gramophones. But otherwise, that's Pumpkin Jack 100%. Slightly different than the other categories. You get to see more of the levels. You get to do some of the cool stuff, but not all of the cool stuff. So if you're interested, the community is really great. There's a lot of good. There's a guide for 100%. There's a guide for new game. Everybody's super helpful, and they've been playing a lot longer than I have, so it can help you out if you have any questions. It's a fun game. It's a pretty short game, so yeah. So time. That was the final hit on the wizard. So we've done the job. We've done the deed. You kill the wizard, and then the amulet falls off, and Jack picks it up. So now Jack's the big baddie. So we've helped out the devil, screwed the world. Jack's super powerful, so it's a good day. But yeah, and then we'll kind of scroll through the credits, which the credits are kind of cool because they show like the development of the game basically. He's got pictures on the side and like dates and stuff of how the development went. So I hate to scroll through it quickly, but you get to see a little bit of it. So that like October 2016, first Jack, you get the first like early stuff with enemies. December 2016, March 2017, through 2017. There's the dev up in the top left. You like slowly see new enemies and new Jacks, and slowly but surely he's morphing this game into this great game that he ended up on. So really cool, awesome game. Big shout outs to Nicholas for doing a great job, and for everybody that helped him out. We shall see if you have 120 skulls. We do. We can buy all the outfits for Jack, which is a good way to make sure you have all 120 skulls. And then we should have all the gramophones. The gramophones are a lot harder to miss than the skulls. Yep, we are good to go. We actually did 100% after we went back and got the skull in the swamp. So cool. But yeah, thanks Indiethon for having me and Pumpkin Jack, and looking forward to a few more awesome runs to wrap this great marathon up.
Absolutely, and thank you for the fantastic run. That was really a lot of fun to watch. Even with the small hiccup in the middle.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, that's it from me for right now. I will be passing the hosting reins over to the ever delightful Selkuth Mind, who will be introducing the next run. We're going to take another short intermission whilst the next run is set up, so don't go anywhere and keep those donations coming in. Thank you very much, everyone.